So I am working this week in these beautiful mountains of East Tennessee, as they say it. Tennessee. That's how you say it. Not Tennessee, Tennessee. When you're in East Tennessee. That's what I've learned. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. Um, but I got up here and I didn't have a meeting for a while. And earlier today, I did something that I just have to confess to you, I just don't do often enough. I mean, every day I have my quiet time, right? But I actually did a structured, like nothing experience, just sitting in silence, being still. I wasn't reading anything. I wasn't reading any spiritual enlightening books. I wasn't reading any technical journals. I wasn't reading one of my cheesy novels that I'll escape to every now and then. I wasn't doing any of that. I'm reminded of a verse, one of my favorite verses in the psalmist says, "Be still and know that I am God." And there's something about stillness that is so important that we don't do enough. There are a lot of reasons for that. Some people can't sit still, they're too anxious. Some people can't sit still because they fall into an emptiness, an empty place, a depression. So they have to stay active all the time. Some people find it difficult to sit still because they feel lost and they realize their lostness or absence of purpose or other things might come to the surface. At the same time, if we don't sit still, then it's very difficult to put our arms around and embrace the next step, working through all those things. Now, some of you, being still may not be the best advice for you if you're suffering from anything that being still would exacerbate. Some kinds of isolation, for example, some kinds of hopelessness, some kinds of people that have self injurious kinds of thoughts. Probably in some of those, for some of you, it doesn't feel like solitude at all. It feels like isolation. And that's not something I would want you to do. I would want you to reach out for help first. But if you're not in that place, solitude is a big deal. Solitude is not isolation. Isolation is a life cut off from relationship where we're detached and we're not connected to anybody when we're alone. That's isolation. Isolation is being not emotionally connected, spiritually connected, soulishly connected, intellectually connected. That's isolation. Solitude is when we are connected, but we're alone. For example, some of my favorite verses where it says Jesus went off alone and to the mountains or into the wilderness or into the desert or wherever it was. He was not disconnected. He was in solitude. Because you know what? Solitude is a place where we get to sit and become aware of maybe what we're running from, or maybe what we just haven't had time to notice what we might be feeling because we're filling our heads with noise too much. Too much. I mean, what are the numbers now? You could Google this, but how many times do people check their phones a day? I mean, just that alone. When's the last time you were sitting there waiting on somebody who was late and you just sat like we used to do? I would sit in the car and wait, and listen, and be quiet. So I did that today. And I found that it was really, really, first of all, it was so refreshing. There's something rejuvenating about the silence of being in tune with being present and not being scattered and thinking and worrying about this and that, but just being in the very, very moment there. And then when I began to be aware and also, connect, with God in that moment, the stillness of, like that verse, be still and know that I am God. Stillness, stopping everything, stopping the noise, stopping the activity. Some of you can't go away to the mountains today, obviously, but you know what? You could go in your backyard for 5 minutes and just be still. Or you could go in your cubicle and put on the headphones so you can't hear people talking around you and just be still. Tune into your thoughts, tune into your feelings, or tune into silence. One of the one of the things I've learned to do over the years is sometimes if I got a lot going on, I wake up in the middle of the night and my head is buzzing. I've learned to be present and not think. Try that. Be present and don't think. You know, things come to mind, and what we'll do is we'll start to think about them. You don't have to grab every bird that flies by your head and help it build a nest. Just let it fly by. Stillness and silence. Studies have shown it can change your immune system, can change your blood pressure, can change your ability to be resilient to stress. Something that the Bible and science have been telling us for a long time. So, just a reminder, one thing today, find some time, be still. Don't be still to sit and think about stuff, even though you can use some of that time if you want to. I'm just talking about stillness without thinking. Try it.